Well, despite attacks on the trans community, there are 7 times more trans people serving in elected office compared to just 8 years ago in 2017, according to a new report out. That report also found huge gains for LGBTQ plus representation nationwide in recent years. Joining us live now is Evan Lowe, former South Bay, California State Assembly member and the current president and CEO of the LGBTQ plus Victory Fund and Institute, the organization that released that report. Evan, so good to see you.
Happy Pride, Julian. Great to see you as well.
Yes, happy Pride. Can you start by telling us about the work that you all do at the LGBTQ plus Victory Institute?
Yeah, Julian, we at the LGBTQ plus Victory Fund and Victory Institute, we are dedicated to the sole mission of ensuring LGBTQ plus representation and elected and appointed office. That's how we will change hearts and minds by effectuating change, passing policies that are inclusive, and helping to uplift everyday Americans.
And we've certainly seen hearts and minds changing over the many years, over the decades. It was just, we celebrated, I believe, 1 or 2 days ago, 10 years since same-sex marriage was the law of the land. And look how far we've come in just those few years. But you all are out with a big new report. Break down the findings of that report, if you will.
Sure. Thanks for allowing me to talk about it. This is our out report for 2025, reflecting across the country representation of LGBT elected officials in the entire country. And what we've seen is, as you reported earlier, close to an 800% increase in transgender representation in elected office. This includes that of representations in Congress, representations in states that perhaps may have laws on the books that criminalize our very existence. And that's why I think these key points are so illustrative to say that in spite of the rhetoric, in spite of the harmful laws that attack members of our community, attempting to erase our existence, in spite of that, our community is resilient in answering the call for service and running for public office. And we encourage those others watching today, asking themselves what they can do to contribute. I hope that you answer this call of our icon and that of Harvey Milk, continuing the legacy of service and being in public office.
It really does start with just one person saying, I can do it, and making that decision internally to run and then getting the support of their folks around them. Obviously, you all are out with this big report, and it documents so much progress that's been made in recent years. But what are some areas that you've identified where more work still needs to be done?
Yeah, certainly. Well, in an era and environment where we are celebrating Pride, the harsh truth is that we've seen over 500 anti-LGBTQ legislative proposals introduced across the country in various state houses. And in fact, we're seeing in existence in real time as we speak, as you're reporting right now, the clocks of progress turning backwards. And what is important then is we realize that the adage and the saying of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But that is our key mission at the Victory Fund, to help ensure that we're serving public office. Not everyone may like politics, but this is about our existence. And we are hoping that when you see members of our community, you'll realize that we are equally dedicated to that of impacting and effectuating change in the positive manner by lowering the cost of your eggs, your groceries, access to affordable housing, healthcare, everything in between. That's what we're dedicated towards, and we're just like everyday Americans.
We certainly are. And something I think that is so cool about the report that you all compile each year is that you track out queer elected officials, from governors and senators and cabinet secretaries all the way to city council members and local school board members too, and everyone in between, of course. Why is it so important to take stock of the out queer folks in this way?
Well, I want to give you an example of just two that are near and dear to our heart in other places throughout the country. We just saw the election of one of our very own, Gina Ortiz Jones, the new mayor of San Antonio, Texas, and former undersecretary of the Air Force, LGBTQ, Asian American female, but a dedicated public servant, and will show what the best of what America has to offer. Or someone who is a graduate of our candidate training programs in Olivia Hill, a veteran, an engineer, and the first and only trans person to be elected in the state of Tennessee on the Nashville City Council. And by the way, in a state in which there's a law on the books that criminalizes dressing opposite your sex assigned at birth. And Olivia Hill is an example of someone who serves as a veteran, but also a public servant, dedicated and passionate about water, infrastructure, making sure your roads work. That is what we are talking about here. And in this month of Pride, and recognizing that there's an onslaught of attacks, the best antidote to this is following in the legacy of service of one of our Bay Area's own icons in Harvey Milk and answering that call for service.
And those are just remarkable strides that you just outlined right there. I mean, some things that would just be unimaginable just a decade or maybe 2 decades ago for sure. Evan, I want to get your reaction to the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that we had today, that 6-3, a court ruling saying that parents can opt children out of classes with LGBTQ plus books. What are your thoughts on this ruling and I guess your message, maybe a call to action to folks watching right now?
Yeah, well, thank you. As you referenced earlier, a 10-year anniversary of marriage equality. And in fact, given Proposition 8, which passed in 2008, which eliminated the rights of same-sex couples to marry, our very own Senator Scott Wiener and I in the California legislature introduced the Proposition 3, which passed last election cycle to enshrine marriage equality as a constitutional protection in the state of California. The reference that you also made about a Supreme Court ruling shows exactly this. Goes back to our key mission. When we are at the table in school boards, in city councils, in state legislative houses, we will be there to work with our legislative colleagues and demonstrating who we are as individuals and helping to shape policies for the betterment of everyday people. And that's what we are dedicated towards.
Well, Evan Lowe, we certainly appreciate your work, the president and CEO of the LGBTQ plus Victory Fund and Institute. Thanks for being here and happy Pride.
Happy Pride, Julie. Good to see you.